Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar today. We're excited to have you join us. Today's webinar topic is 10 ways to improve field productivity with Fulcrum this afternoon. I'm Kurt Franklin. I'm your host today. I do all the events and webinars here at Fulcrum. Maybe I've met you at a conference before. I'm going to be taking you into and out of the webinar. Before we dive in, just a couple of housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded, and we'll be sending out the recording to all registrants after the webinar. So if you need to hop off early or you want to review anything later or share it with a colleague, you'll be able to. We've reserved some time for Q&A at the end, so feel free to submit your questions throughout the session using the Q&A box in the chat. We'll keep an eye on them as we go, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end. If for some reason we miss your question, if we run out of time, we will follow up with you after the webinar, so don't worry about that. All right, everyone, let's get started. I'm excited to introduce our speaker, Jared Carey. Jared is Fulcrum's Senior Customer Success Manager. And fun fact, he's a former customer himself, having worked with Trek Design Group. He's navigated the same field challenges that you're facing, and now he spends every day helping teams squeeze more out of Fulcrum. So yeah, take it away, Jared.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah. Again, so my backstory, I used ArcGIS for 17 years. I used Fulcrum for 12 years of that in the civil engineering space. So a lot of lessons learned, being in the hot days in Kansas City, being in the colder days, as cold as it can get in Joplin, Missouri. But across the use cases, while I've been at Fulcrum, I have dealt with clients globally, and we've dealt with everything from agricultural, residential. It could be just a quick checklist for safety, your job hazard analysis form that you fill out every day. So Fulcrum has a lot of versatility, and I'm going to go and speak just at this cadence, pretty quick, very passionate. I highly advise you take notes, but keep it high level because I'm going to get into the weeds and we're going to go quick. At any point with questions, put them in the chat and we'll start diving in. So I'm a customer success manager at Fulcrum, and I'm going to introduce our customer success team here in just a second. But the topics you're going to see today are categorized as follows. CS team, customer success, we'll introduce. From there, the best practices we kick off, and then the easy hacks that are the easy ones for you to push a button and just implement today. From there, we're going to level up your data viewer game because it's something that's been neglected, I've been noticing. So let's get you bolstered in that environment. And for all of you who are new to Fulcrum, if you haven't used it before, come back and rewatch this video again. Once you've had your trial period, got a couple weeks in, there's a lot that you'll be able to use for your new apps that you're starting to build. Boost your maps. We got some Esri tips in here as well, and symbology. Platform hacks is my favorite. We'll get into the code, even though you don't need to know the code to make Fulcrum successful. From here, abstract concepts. Think beyond the keyboard. It's not just hunt and peck on a screen anymore with Fulcrum, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Also, the final thing is what's about to help you next. I'm leaving this vague to keep you intrigued. I hope you're on the edge of your seat. Let's dive in. Our customer success team is Chris, Becca, Tim, myself, Jared. You're going to see these faces and names popping up more in the help documents as we build out best practices and we start helping to shape the way that you build your forms to be more successful. Our whole mission from customer success is to help you realize the value of your subscription. All we want to do is help you with configuration, your deployment, making sure it's as smooth as possible for your field teams, training involved as well. The operation of Fulcrum from start to finish, from field to finish, making sure your deliverables are smooth with exports. And then the evolution, because this is like Lego land of data, right? You can build your form your way, but it doesn't stop there. You're going to add more fields. You're going to take away some fields. You might need to collect data on something new tomorrow. So it will always continue to evolve. So with that, we support the Fulcrum Academy. It's a place that if you didn't get what you wanted out of today's webinar, go here, register, super easy to do. In fact, we're going to break out for a second and show you where that's located for convenience. So when you're in the Fulcrum dashboard, in the upper right corner, go to the help, choose Fulcrum Academy. And from here, there's many courses we recommend, but the fast track, as we zip back again one more time, is just these few 5 courses. In 2 hours, bowl of cereal, cup of coffee on a Saturday morning, you'll be a champion. From there, the field courses. For anyone who's in the field today, is using it in the field, 20 minutes is all you need. And so go to the Android course or the iOS course in the Academy. It'll teach you about filtering, duplicating records. There's a lot more power under the hood. All right, so with that, we have a quick announcement before I get into the best practices. Customer Success is launching office hours. Office hours means come see us in live. We are going to be answering questions. We're going to have a 15-minute presentation of something new or deeper dive on best practices starting in August. So August 7th is our first at 2 p.m. Eastern time. You can find more information on this in the chat, our support chat off to the bottom right corner. So when you click on this, just look for some news articles. It's coming. All right, without further ado, let's go into the best practices, but I'm going to kick off with a riddle. This photo and this photo, what's common between them? You have the body, you have the mind. Now, the body is focused in a pose and the mind is protected with a helmet, thank God. And then also we've got the glasses, but he's using Fulcrum. What's the same thing between these two? Good form. That's the punniest joke you're going to get out of me all day. I mean, hey, yoga, it takes good form to, okay, anyway, we're going to move on. With good form, you're going to be successful in the field. And there's some best practices that come with this. So for instance, in this phone app of Fulcrum, you see in here a little field called was anything damaged? It has a red star. That's a required field. If I say yes, another section pops up and all the requirements for that, you know, the damages that I saw, observations, photos, whatever I made required, I have to fill out. And that guarantees I'll have that data for every record because of the rules. If you program in these rules, you get better data in general. Or if there wasn't any damage, just don't even display those fields and it keeps the form more cohesive and smooth, and it's less strain and mental anguish, you know, while you're going through 300 questions on a workflow or something. So with that, we've got best practices to try to high level this for you, and there's more in our help center. Keep your apps focused to a single function if you can. There's no sense putting a whole bunch of different themes that don't relate in the data unless they're all tied to one major asset. There are edge cases. But if you keep, you know, an asset inventory app, but separately an inspection, a condition assessment app, it's better to keep those separate to know that you're on one use case and they can link. We have record linking between the apps as well. Limit the number of fields necessary. So don't put in too many fields, or maybe you're on the brink of needing a repeatable section. If you're observing the same thing over and over again, we'll go into that on the next couple of slides. Use requirements. So you see a requirement here for damaged. You don't see a requirement for the quality inspection date. There's a reason. The quality inspection may follow up later, but on the status field above, when it says it was inspected, maybe then we require that date, and that ensures that it's always filled out. There's no question about when it happened, and that's part of our conditional logic and data events behind the scenes. Limit your repeatables to 2. So what I say there, 2 levels. We have a child record, we have a grandchild record, there's great grandchildren and so on, but it becomes harder to manage when you nest forms within forms like that. And if you've never experienced repeatables, these are just multiple observations belonging to a parent record, essentially. So think of, let's go back on that. Think of like a house is a parent record. The rooms in the house could be a repeatable. And the assets, the furniture inside that room for every room is the grandchild record. So, you know, house, bedroom, armoire. Set maximums on your photo attachments. We all like to take a lot of pictures at times, and sometimes you don't think you've got enough. But that's a lot of storage. It's a lot of bandwidth. Maybe you don't need that much. It's also a lot to review. So if you only need 2 pictures per defect, set that maximum. Don't set any higher. You can also set maximum resolution to keep the bandwidth low as well and storage low. Visibility logic, like I said, we'll show some of that in a second, but you'll pop fields on, pop them off, and it just depends on the conditional logic program in. It's pretty easy to do that. And then setting up automations. So we'll talk data events really light. I did want to not go into the technical part of coding today, but if you can code or you want to use us for some of that, it really it bolsters your form. It really boosts it. Okay, talking data events. We'll keep this really fast. As I'm clicking on this graphic, as you see, I'm filling out a job ID, I'm gonna fill out the map segment next, and then soon I'm gonna click a field that triggers an alert. Now watch what happens. I click and the alert comes up and it's giving a tutorial on how to fill out the rest. This is a protocol that I have linked in the form to show my field technician, here's how I want you to do the job. From here forward, these are your steps. And it could be a PDF, it could be an animated GIF, but that is all done with a little bit of code behind the scenes that launches that form. And we've got some tips we can send you after this call to put that together. We have a lot of data events examples that you can copy and paste and just modify, which lets you do things like bring in the weather. So on today's date, we saw a bunch of inflow and infiltration in a manhole. Oh, it was raining, but we automatically filled that out for you. Change statuses with data events. So when the form is saved in this code, we set the status to inspected on that save record. That's how it goes. A little bit of JavaScript, and then your forms start to automate themselves. We're not going to get into the weeds of that too much today. I'm going to introduce some of the possibilities with it, but we can always follow up with another session on that later. Good form design 101. All right, so with repeatables, without repeatables, what's the difference? In this case, on the left, I have safety issues that I'm filling out, and I have a section for safety issue 1, safety issue 2, number 3, number 4, and it's got the same fields duplicated over and over again. Underneath it all, I have to give them unique names. So let's bust out real quick and see what that looks like to make this work. So in terms of looking at the edit on both of these examples, here's the form design for a repeatable and the data name that powers it, description of hazard observed 1. Okay, I only need this one field. Now, on the other side, here is the _1 that you see, but I have to give it a unique name. So here's a 2, and then there comes a 3 and a 4. That gets confusing at some point. So it's kind of nice to just not use a bunch of dedicated fields with those 1, 2, 3, 4s in the names. Just make it a repeatable, and it eliminates that. So if you can observe something more than twice, 3 or more, consider using repeatables. It shrinks your form fields. It makes things expandable. You can still enter as many records and observations as you want, but if you only have less than a couple of observations or 3, you can build out sections for that if you really wanted to. The repeatables will shrink your form though. So if this were 10 different sections of a facility condition assessment and you're using dedicated fields for all of that, your form may grow to become 500 fields long. With repeatables, we can cut that down to a 10th. Repeatables have their own geometry. So you can actually do points, lines, and polygons on every entry within that form for the parent and draw out fence lines, draw out shapes of buildings, etc. And also every repeatable entry is tied to the parent that you can put statistics in there, like account how many poor defects did I see in the repeatables, 10, 3, however many. So that can also happen. And you can enforce minimums and maximums. So always have 1, maybe have no more than 5. Your use case may vary. Now that you've graduated that class, let's move on to form design 102. So yes and no fields and choice lists. This is fun. Watch this animation. So as I'm clicking, let's start from the top. I click, I click, I click, and I click. 4 choices made. Now I'm click and click, click and click, click and stumble click. You notice that I'm taking more time on the bottom half than I am the top, and it's a little more confusing because my eyes aren't flowing as well. The rule here, if you've got 3 or fewer values for the field, then try to use a yes/no field. It doesn't have to say yes or no. It can be renamed to pass fail. It could be yes, no, NA. It could be green, amber, blue. Give it whatever name. But from there, if you have 4 or more, because you're inevitably going to have more choices at some point for some things, then use a choice list, yes. The yes, no fields are quicker, single clicks. For the field entry, it cuts the time down. The choice list, they require twice as much clicks, and you need to be deliberate because when you're in a long selection of choices, it's easy with gloves on to choose the right or wrong entry. From there, you also have other options. So just know that you're not limited in choice lists to just what you put in. You can check the other checkbox inside of the config, and now you can have one additional bonus they can type in their own value. And then keep in mind, single choice, 1 selection, multiple choice, multiple choices, right? That makes sense. But what about branching? What if you want to guide someone from the house to the room, the bedroom, down to the armoire? So that's what classification sets do. They let you branch down categories in a choice list. That comes in handy sometimes when doing facility condition assessments, for instance. All right, that's some high level stuff. We're gonna go into the basics that you can start pushing buttons today and just start using. And it's a lot of overlooked things. Maybe you're using them, but I wanna emphasize a different way. Photo markups seem so basic. And yes, you can integrate thermal imaging with Fulcrum. In this example, I'm trying to draw attention to something. I found an anomaly, and with that second cable that's glowing, I just want to highlight it. So I went and did a markup, drew a circle. I'm putting some text on the screen, so when the report gets printed, nobody has a doubt about what I'm trying to call out here. But it goes deeper than that. Think about this in terms of like freehand notes, arrows, boxes, and text. Draw attention to details, but also for blueprints. Have you ever taken a picture of a blueprint and just sketched red lines on it? Well, watch this. So now I'm on a blueprint and I'm coming in here just doing some chicken scratches, just drawing red X's and putting a little highlighter box. That's a very fast way in the field to document something and send that back to an engineer or project manager. It's an easy enablement. Just click the box on enable markup on any photo field and just start taking pictures and going at it. Keep in mind on blueprints, you may need a larger resolution available to load that up. So if you set your form's resolution for photos down small, you'll lose that detail. So there's a trade-off, a little bit of balance. Record history is brand new. This is number 2 of 10. We just rolled this out recently. And as you go to your history, you click on the little time clock wheel to reverse time, and you're going back a version. So if you had an accident, which does happen, then you can just go back to the way it was with all the metadata and have peace of mind without having to edit a bunch of things. We don't want this to happen, but it's an oops rewind for you if you need it. So that's an easy one to work through. Just know that it's available. And now, actually, yeah, that's right. All right, next thing. This was released a few months ago, and it's been a quiet release somewhat. 360 cameras are changing the game for field inspections. There's a lot of people trying to lean into it. What we've done is create a viewer so that you can load one photo, a 360 photo, straight into the photo field. It immediately becomes this interactive, like Google Street View, pan, tilt, zoom. But you can take snapshots. You can go full screen. From here, think about it in this term. So any 360 photo that is an equirectangular, big word, a rectangle, any one of those can work. It has to come from a 360 camera. It can't just come from your phone. So this is kind of like a separate piece of hardware, little hack that you can choose. Once you've got that, it saves field inspection time, because now you've got this comprehensive one-click capture. I was in the bedroom, I took a photo, and now I see the arm wire next to the TV, next to the bed, and I can, in the air conditioning or heating in the winter, do this in my office. I can now do the inspection virtually. That's the value that it provides. So it also prevents revisits. So you don't have to go back and visit a site if you forgot to take a picture looking south, or you forgot that asset that was in the corner. Hopefully it shows up in your 360 photo and prevents that revisit. You also don't need extra software. Some of these need a third-party program to be able to launch and interact with, but Fulcrum's making this native to the browser in the data viewer. All right, new chapter, part 3, level up your data viewer game. Guys, this is gonna be the deepest, nerdiest ninjery, but it's so powerful and easy to use, I promise. So when you're in your form, there are many files to download that you can export as file types. But get smarter about those downloads. Filter it first. So in this case, I filtered a column by days of a range. And so here, as I show you this, maybe you can't read it, but weeks ago, I said 2 weeks ago, give me all the records that were within the last couple of weeks. And now I only have 2. So maybe I'm looking for changes in the field. I don't want to see everything, but I don't have a better way to track it. You can filter by dates, names, blanks, empty values, quantities, and you can combine all of those columns with many different mixes of the filters. Once you've conjured this to the way you like it, you can also save that filter on the next slide, and you can export those filter results with just a click of your filter, go to the exporter, and have the reports ready. So maybe it's just deliverable records. Maybe you're done or you're at the QC stage. This helps you really fast track not having to create filters over and over again. Also, filters can be set for mins and maxes, and maybe you just want to look for all the blank values in your cells in a current app. Set that filter, save it, and then call it up, and you can do fast QC that way. Very relevant. There's a bonus. I was showing in this screenshot, there's a geodatabase exporter now for download data. We didn't always have that, but now that we do, it supports lines and polygons in addition to points. Why is that important? Well, in the GIS world, it's a container for all of your points, lines, and polygons. With shape files, you would have had 3 sets of mini files that support them, and it's just harder to manage. I would also say there's a benefit to geodatabases if we're talking mapping here, like the Esri space or QGIS. Shape files are limited to 10 character field names. And here's what this looks like. So a shapefile attribute may say the word inspection. Now remember, 10 characters, that's 10 letters. But the next version of it says this inspectee_1. What is that? Well, it's a truncated version of inspected by, because it was more than 10 characters. And actually, this top one was supposed to be inspected date, but the word date fell off. So use geodatabases where you can, because shapefiles are an older type. We've all been using them in the GIS world, but we need to keep moving forward and get more power out of the data and integrity. All right, number 4 out of 10. We're moving right along. Customizing, we're still on number 4, it's a bonus. But customizing and saving your column views. A lot of people don't know this either. Watch the animation. There's a 3 columns bracket button. You click it, and there's the option to turn on and off columns in the record viewer. This is great because now you can curate a view. You can also save that filter out. You know what, before I go into the details, let's just do a quick experiment. We're gonna go to the wastewater playground, 2 words that should never exist in the real world, but at least I know this data is playground data for me. So as I'm in here, I can save a filter now. I can turn off a lot of these fields. Let's select them off. And I'm just gonna say, I just want the invert depth for manholes, rim elevation. Great, let's do those. And then on top of that, I just want the manhole layers, so only show me those points. I'm gonna save this filter real quick, and I only have those 3 columns selected. Once I do it, let's just make it public for the sake of demo, and it'll turn it back off. But let's launch ArcGIS real quick. And as I go in here, the map viewer will show me those points for my app. And when I click on them, only the fields I shared are the ones that are going to be available: invert depth, invert elevation, and rim. I can probably zoom in if you can't see those. There you go. So this is a great way to share data through the ArcGIS space and with others as well whenever you're dealing with Fulcrum shares. So with that said, let's recap. This is just for you. This is just for your view. You get to save these yourself, and it's just a better way to organize data. Turn off the unwanted columns, turn on hidden columns like duration or who created the record. You can export to spreadsheets in addition to Esri, and all those spreadsheets will just have those columns that you turned on. That's awesome. But we always have some headers that come with it, or at least some Fulcrum system fields. It's going to be the record ID. It'll be maybe a date, a system date, version number. Sure, you have to delete those for your deliverable, but it's just nice that you don't have to delete 300 columns and sort through all that. That said, I already shared it with ArcGIS Online interactively for you. You can turn on those hidden fields for extra insights. Like I said, there's durations hidden inside of there that you can see how long it took to edit a record, which helps with forensics. Like, is my form taking too long? Or at least what was wrong with this record that it took 8 hours to fill out the inspection. That said, let's blaze through this. You can look at GPS coordinates in those column views, look at the accuracy, turn those on in your data view as well, and then do statistics. So that's the next fun part. At the bottom of all these columns is a blank empty field. You'll see it when you log in and check it out. Click that empty cell, and you get these awesome statistics for sum, count blanks, mins, maxes, and histograms for how they distribute across your table. That's a little geekery, but it's neat because let's say that you're doing linear quantities and you want to find some mistakes. Maybe someone drew a line across a ditch way too long and it's beyond 1,000 feet long, but it shouldn't be. If you start running statistics like this, you can find other errors really quick by just running those outliers and sums and things. So that can be fun. So it's applied to filtered views as well. Easy to grab, dial in on a crew, how many did they get done today? Project managers ask these questions all the time. And we have one final bonus, and this involves those downloads. So once you've filtered your data and you're going to download it, there's 2 paths you can take for a quick deliverable. So I've always been frustrated where I'm trying to rename my column headers because it's got these data names that look like this. And it's just abbreviated with underscores. There's no proper capitalization. But now we've got this option for exporting labels. Labels are the better looking name, so we've dressed it up. And this now shows as assistant with a period, and you've got parentheses. It's a quick hack, but next time you do an export of spreadsheets, turn on label and check that out. All right, boosting your maps with Esri. We just rolled over to Esri a second ago. I've kind of pre-recorded a demo because it's easier to talk as this is driving itself. But I'm dropping a little point on the map, and inside of here, I have extra map layers that are all coming from Esri. I just clicked on a line in Esri, and I'm moving that line in Esri. The Esri lines give me symbology. I've got extra flow arrows. I've got labels showing the diameter and material of those lines, and the lines are dashed. It's also nice. So they're color coded by weight. You can see thick blue lines through the middle, and Esri is powering all of that. Fulcrum and Esri is like an emerging synergy. How about this, for mapping on steroids, because you're collecting powerful data in Fulcrum, but you're symbolizing it and analyzing it with the Esri tools. We're baking the SDK in more and more all the time, and you're seeing some of those tools emerge. But today, you can go ahead and connect to your ArcGIS account and bring in layers now and interact with them. Keep in mind, this does require at least a mobile worker, contributor, creator license, professional, if you want to edit lines. If you don't want to edit lines, you can use a viewer license. That would work just fine. But from there, the value consider is just the symbology lets you get more context. These lines had flow arrows on them, these little blue arrows. That shows me where flow is going through a system. I didn't quite have that in Fulcrum, but it's nice to have it from another perspective. And the parcels, if you saw earlier, clicking on a parcel popped up an address. And as soon as I get that address, I can copy and transfer it to my Fulcrum inspection. It's nice to have that awareness because sometimes you don't know where the edges of a property are when you're doing inspections in the field. So that said, now try to draw a circle. Doesn't matter what platform you're in, drawing a circle is something that, at least for tree people, you want to see the canopy of that tree. And I'm doing it automatically here. So the circle becomes a buffer around a point. I'm about to type in the diameter of the canopy, 65, and it drew that circle immediately. There's a little smoke and mirrors going on with some data events, but that's how fast it can be done, and it makes your job of digitizing in the field even faster. So let's look at this. There's what's called the turf.js library, JavaScript library. All you non-coders, just tune out and go talk to somebody who wants to do some coding, but you can always reach out to our support team and we'll help you through this. But whenever you weave it in, there's some geometries and geography things. The code will do math, and it will start drawing shapes, polygons, lines in a bearing and distance, and that can be automated. So you could draw an instant easement based on a line, or you could draw a safety hazard around a fall area where maybe riprap needs to be put or something. Just think outside the box, but know that it's possible. You can automate any sort of shapes in Fulcrum behind the scenes. All right, now that actually was a platform hack in a way, but we're gonna get into some more. All right, left picture, control. It's the key on my keyboard. The control on the right, also the same key, same picture, but dumbed down a little bit in resolution. If you notice down here, the size was 3 megabytes versus 386 kilobytes. This is a 1/10 of the size on the right. What I'm trying to show is that you get the same-ish quality for what you're trying to see. You can read the word control. Yes, it's a little blurry, but it's enough. And that can actually speed up your workflows because you're not transmitting so much data at such a large resolution. So some of you on the platform now, but we have native. We can do 18 megapixel images. Yes, you can. You can also drop it down to 3 megapixels if you wanted to and get a good balance between quality and not. That is actually a bonus that's hidden in data events under set form attributes. We have a lot of things you can do with that data event. So you can say, I want the minimum GPS accuracy to be 1/10 of a meter. You could say you want to allow or disallow manually changing the location of the record once it was captured. You could also say, I don't want anybody to use the photo gallery in my phone or my mobile device because I don't want them to pick the wrong photo. They need to take a fresh photo. So these are all parameters like true false flags that when you plant the seeds here, your app behaves that way for all the users and it's consistent across all devices, regardless of their settings. So the one that I'm getting to, video can be controlled down so that a field user doesn't accidentally have too much resolution for your job. Same with photos. You set the maximum pixels and it will come down to 0.1, sorry, well, 1 megapixel, 0.9 megapixels on my example. This is evolving. There's new things coming out with this. In fact, recently we added some more to it. So check out in our developer docs, the data events for set form attributes and start weaving that into your apps as a standard. All right, number 8. This one at the high level, let's just watch what's happening here. You see the green box? I just clicked on a section, and inside that section, I'm putting some comments, and the green box just showed up. There's 2 green boxes now. Okay, so if I click in here, another green box. What I'm doing is I'm using a data event to portray a status code, and all that is a little emoticon, a little emoji, and it's a square. And all I'm bringing attention to is, hey, you filled out the fields in that section. Because some of you may need to have multiple sections, one for safety, one for the asset, one for another asset like it. But it's hard to know which sections you completed. So with the data events, I'm hacking this a bit, pulling symbols, little emojis from Unicode Explorer. You can get them really anywhere. But I'm driving this with a simple onChange event. As soon as I change this comments box, then I'm setting the title to have a square in it instead. Now, this also works for good, fair, poor statuses to draw attention to maybe thresholds, outliers. So let's look at what that's like. So inside of your data, you can put little red, green, yellow circles. And as you just saw on the screen, that was a repeatable, and all the repeatable entries had color in them. So now I know exactly which ones to dial in on and update them. The yellow one, let's make that good. I took care of it. Awesome, now they're all good. I can move back to the parent record, and it also has a summary of what I did in that text box. Every bit of that was data events, but some of this is some low-hanging fruit. You can copy those icons straight into your choice lists. The thing is, it may not be a best practice, and here's why. If you're gonna export data to a CSV, you'll lose that emoticon. However, it can aid the staff greatly. And if you wanted to get clever, put it in the labels of the data, like in a choice list label, but not the raw data itself. Also, it prints on reports. You can put these in the headers of columns, like a thumbs up on column 10. There's a lot you can do with it, but just keep in mind some best practices. It's not quite always wise to put it in the raw data itself. Sometimes it works. Your mileage may vary. All right, and only use when it's compatible with your system. Don't just get creative, especially if you have an integration with some, maybe it's Salesforce, and it won't take those symbols. Don't start inventing with this now without proving that it can ingest on the other side. All right, number 9, we're getting closer. Watch this one. So you know that tree canopy I just drew earlier? Well, as soon as I updated it, watch my phone here on the right, I got a text message. And as soon as that happened, there's a link in here. And I click the link and I go straight into the record itself showing that tree canopy. That's convenient for a foreman, project manager, maybe a disaster response team to get a quick notice, but to be able to click in real quick from that text message and start taking action or figure out what they need to do next. The way this works is pretty simple with workflows. Now notice our help center, help.fulcrumapp.com. I can break out into these articles, you can too. Do a quick search on workflows and you'll find examples, so many, that start iterating things just like this. So just know after this webinar, you can go there and learn more about some of this in detail. The capabilities are awesome. So in this case, you can send not just text, but emails and PDFs. So let's say you actually want to hack this up and you want to customize your message. The messages that you build are all based on the fields of the form as well. Everything in blue here that you see was a form field in Fulcrum. So created by name, that's me, and then reports this tree species from the form field. But the hack for me to click that link in my phone message was doing this. prefix it with the URL, https://web, Fulcrum, anyway, with the slash in the records /. Once you've done that with no spaces, put the record ID in there. And as soon as you do, it builds a whole hyperlink that in email or text message will launch straight into Fulcrum as long as someone's logged in and can authenticate. I did skip over the webhook piece of this. It might be a little bit more advanced, but at least you know that you can push this data not just as text or emails, but into a totally different system for work orders, for instance. If you're using Maximo, that webhook can trigger a workflow that's in Maximo, and then someone else takes the next steps from a Fulcrum inspection. So all that's very possible. There's one quick caveat here. We're going to bust out to show a quick interactive demo. I want to show you where it's at. So when you're in Fulcrum, for any app, as long as you have the privilege to set workflows, this is important, go into the 3 dots button on any app, and from there, go to the app dashboard. From the app dashboard, you'll have a tab. Uh-oh, I'm giving a teaser. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I've got workflows. Workflows is something that when you set it up with the decision tree, it automates behind the scenes upon syncing of records. So when someone in the field saves a record, if they have no cell phone service, you won't trigger that workflow just yet. They have to sync on Wi-Fi or find better ground. And once they do, it hits the server. So I'm going to say it's a test workflow, and we can set conditions for this. So maybe they're just updating the record, and that's the criteria. The form can be filtered. I could say the site name is going to contain or have text in it that, triage zone. I don't know. Your experience varies, of course. And when I'm done, select the action. This is where emails, webhooks, where you can do all these crazy API integrations, or text messages can happen. So you put in the phone number, and then you put in the message, etc., and then you're good to go. So make sure that you enable that. Save, well, when you enable it, it won't be a draft anymore. Save and exit, and it's live. So any updates to records from that moment forward, you'll start those triggers, and everyone hopefully isn't annoyed by all your emails if you got them sent out to the wrong person. All right, let's go back to the slideshow. That's enough on workflows. We're reaching the end. Stay with me a little bit longer. So this is an interesting topic because in the world of mobile, we have iOS, we have Android. Those are the 2 common platforms. GPS is something that some of you need, and you need it to be survey grade, centimeter accuracy. Yes, you can do it with Fulcrum. We are weaving in more and more on the roadmap, but today you need Android to make this work. And what it's going to involve is a series of checklists. I will not go into detail when I flash this on the screen, but just note that's the requirements when I'm about to go through it. But watch this animation real quick. I'm walking in my front yard to a stone, and I've got this hobby GPS, and it has centimeter accuracy. From there, I'm grabbing within 0.39 inches my latitude and longitude and my elevation, and I'm converting it to state plane coordinates by a quick toggle switch. So from there, I can continue that process. You can capture the accuracy. You just need a middleman app that sends mock locations. That's the secret sauce. So let's talk through this. As you go through, it's got to be Android. You need a GPS receiver, one of these brands or many other brands out there. I just threw in some that I'm familiar with. And then on top of that, a middleman app with mock locations on Android. So remember that. These apps will do. There's one that's open source, GNSS Master. You need a survey dialer inner, something called ntrip, RTK. So real-time kinematic locations, for all those who don't care about survey, close your ears. That is so important to dial in the accuracy. You need an internet connection to do that. So as long as you have one in your state, like Missouri has MoDOT, New York has NYSNet, Connecticut has one, they've all got some. Or you buy a subscription. You could do Trimble Catalyst, Point One Polaris, get an RTK source, feed it into one of these ntrip apps, and now you've got survey grade. Remember that at the high level. Some people this is going to click with, some others it won't. That's fine. But at least you get tighter control with your GPS. And even if you didn't need centimeter accuracy, you can still get submeter accuracy with these external devices, and you wouldn't even need the internet for that. The data integrity for your shots will always show an accuracy, so at least you also know that the accuracy is, pour under a tree. It said so. The number was 1 meter, and you wanted sub-centimeter. but your results are definitely going to vary in terms of the hardware, and there's some tips and tricks from some of these makers. Some of them even have articles on how to integrate with Fulcrum already. But reach out to us with support, and we can guide you through some of this if you're stumbling. Our next chapter, think beyond the keyed entry. Open your mind for a second. You don't have to use a keyboard. You don't have to touch on your phone. You can speak. You can also capture with your eyes. Today, Fulcrum embraces AI, and we are leveraging it with some wicked cool things. Fast fill, audio fast fill, you literally speak to your form, and as you're speaking, it pulls the voice out into words, and from there, it's filling out the fields, plural, of all the things you're saying. So if I spoke, make, model, etc., it's going to fill those things out for me. And that's really powerful stuff. The way that this runs is currently online. We have at some point a goal to get that offline at some point. But for today, at least, if you had gloves on, it's cold outside, or you need both hands. If you're trying to just take measurements, for instance, sometimes it's nice to put your phone down, have your earbud in, and you're speaking to it. The width of this channel is 24 inches. The depth of it is 32. I see flow at 1.6 feet per minute, etc. And with all that recorded up to 3 minutes, it will pull that data into your inspection form and start filling it out behind the scenes. Some of that's pretty handy. That said, also if you're on a ladder, be safe. But confined space entry, definitely be safe with this application. You want to put it in a pocket, secured. Once you've hit record, make sure that you're not, setting it down and losing your device. That said, keep your eyes on your work, not your device. Related to that, we are leaning forward into AI in a different way with visual. Photo fast fill is coming, and if you haven't seen a release for it yet or teasers, this is kind of like ground zero for you today. What you're seeing right now is all these form fields I didn't have to enter at all. I took 2 pictures. It took the barcode, but it also took the logo from that electric meter, GE or Mitsubishi, whatever it is, and it recognized it. It put it into the field for me. So on top of that, I could take several pictures, 3, 4, and if it's the interior of a room looking north, south, east, west, I could ask of AI, how many TVs are in this room, and it may tell me 2 if it saw 2. You can start putting prompts in the fields to queue that up. At least, this field for the number of TVs, count the total you see, put the number that you see, right? So this is still in early access right now. Our product team is aggressively rolling this out. It is going to save a lot of time and a lot less typos, especially when you've got serial numbers you have to type in, maybe for fleet management of your trucks, the VIN numbers especially. Just take a picture of the barcode and anything else that comes with it. Mileage, take a picture of that. It'll put it in the odometer fields. Pretty awesome stuff. No training, sorry, my voice is going hoarse. No training is required. The text extraction is our first use case though, but soon we're gonna have the object detection, like the TV's in a room. And then beyond that, what is the condition of the TV? So as we roll this out, you'll see more from us in the news, on our news feeds for this. The value, again, it avoids heavy data entry. It saves you some time. It's an assist. You're still going to need your keyboard at times in the web. You're still going to need your hands on the mobile at times as well. But this helps lift some of it. Insights. I gave you the teaser a second ago. This is what's next on the horizon. I was blown away and just saw the first demo of this just a week or 2 ago. I asked Insights and said, hey, best practices. I have a form. Tell me what the pros and cons are. Now, this idea came from another on our CS team, Tim Ferguson. Awesome idea. Give me some best practices. How would I improve my form? How can I make it more efficient? And it came up and told me, you're using repeatables well, but you're missing some visibility logic on a couple of pieces. You might want to add some details on what the date was that was captured. Was it the inspection date? And it was pretty awesome. So using LLMs, the modern GPT world we live in, this is coming soon, and it will be able to interact with your data and make charts if you ask it questions like, what are the outliers you're seeing? How many broken manhole covers are there? Give me a pie chart, and it's drawing that on the screen. It's intelligent. It gives you a better understanding. You don't have to know how to use pie charts or put them into Excel. I'm joking up pretty good. But the value that it does provide is a fast track to getting those instant results. It may not solve all of your problems, but it's, again, insights. It's to get a fast answer on something. That's the whole goal. So we're excited to release this soon. Stay tuned. Invites are going out probably as we speak. And from there, take it for a test drive and see how well it works. We're pretty much coming close to time. I actually gave you more than 10 tips today. In fact, I probably packed in too much, and I'm sorry about that, but slow down this video when you play it again, and follow up with us at any time. You can reach out to our customer support team. Also, marketing, if you want to take a trial of Fulcrum, sign up, get the 2 weeks going, and sign up also for our next calendar invite here. And Kurt, I think I'll pass it back over to you real quick to announce that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Thanks everybody for joining us. And like Jared said, if you want to email this marketing@fulcrumapp.com email address, us, the marketing team, will get back to you. We'll route you in the right direction or answer your question. And like you said here, we're promoting next month's webinar that we're doing. That's going to feature a lot of the AI stuff that Jared just talked about, as well as some new stuff. It's going to be super cool. Jake is going to do it. Jake Freevold, our product marketing person. I'm going to put the link to register to that webinar in the chat right now. So if you want to click that and go ahead and register, you'll be all set for next month. But now I say let's do some Q&A. We got about 14 minutes left. We've already had a lot of questions come through. It looks awesome. If you want to ask some questions, we still got time. So click on the little question mark, ask your question, and hopefully we'll get to it. Like I said earlier, if we don't get to it, we'll follow up with you later. So Jared, let's see. We got a question here from Josh. Can you make yes, no fields a multiple choice selection?
Ooh, well, not exactly. A yes or no is meant to be one or the other, true or false, black and white. It gives the bonus of an NA when it's not applicable. So you actually get 3 fields that you can hack out of that. And let's kind of talk that through. So if I was in an app of any kind, I will just pick one here and I'll drag in a yes, no field on how to customize that. So let's say this is a test field. That's the fastest thing I can do. You see the labels. Yes, I could say true. I could also say enter the safety form. You know, it's whatever you want to type, but you add one more when you say enable NA. Now you can type in here as well. False, you could type anything. Make sure your values on the left match the values on the right though, so that you have data consistency at least. But you can't do a multi-choice where 2 of the 3 can be chosen. It's only 1 of the 3 values that you see.
Got it. Okay, we've got another one here. This one looks like kind of a detailed question from Wes. I'm just going to read it to you, Jared. I have an app built for investigating existing underground utilities in Minnesota and Wisconsin. We have a field called crew with a drop-down of name choices. Those names are no longer valid, and I need to make a new drop-down choice of SUE crew names. How do I edit that?
All right, so what I would do, got a couple of things. In every choice list, you can either hard code it for choices like I'm doing now, which isn't scalable across many apps. It's something that you would have to keep reprogramming in every form. So if I put in here another name, on top of that, you have the option to change to a choice list that's actually running on the left-hand side. So choice lists are behind the scenes. So in this case, I'm going to say use a predefined choice list, and I may pick from field services or whatever else I've got listed in here. That now is being fed from the choice list. So just set up another one and change it to a different one. So here's a new choice. or a new choice list. I'm going to say you said like SUE crews. I can't type and talk. Everybody that knows me knows that. There's that. And then here comes the new choice. Drag and drop. This will be Jared. You don't necessarily have to enter the value. It'll do that for you when you click save. I'll add one more. We'll put in here Jim. And then when I save this choice list, just go back to your choice list boxes, the multi-select or whatever they are, and link it up. That's all you would need to do.
You make it look so easy, Jared.
Well, I hope it's easy.
We've got another one here from Bruce. Are you able to take a picture and then mark up or annotate the image? Or does the markup feature only apply to uploaded images?
Oh, that's an awesome question. So the markup is taking advantage of Android and iOS. We can't currently do it in the web, but if you did it in the web, what I would recommend is taking a screenshot of whatever is on your picture, on your display. Take a screenshot with your snipping tool on Windows or on Mac, Shift Command 4, and then you can do some redlining on that and re-upload it as a picture in the web. But on mobile, you click on the image and then you're just launching it into a markups mode. It looks different on iOS than it does Android, but it only works local to those devices.
Got it. Okay, we've got another one here from Josh. Yes, your earlier question. Would it be possible to pin the spot of a child asset onto the blueprint in not via GPS coordinates?
Ooh, I might want that question a little bit more clarified. So, because blueprints
Still out there, yeah. If you want to clarify some of that, Josh, or if not, we can reach out to you afterwards as well.
Sure. Real quick, the blueprint situation, you can take a photo of a blueprint and do sketches like I showed. You can also load blueprints as MB tiles into Fulcrum. So it becomes a map layer. And in this case, I'm going to leave this real quick. I have a map layer in here for Moscone West Center in California. This map layer is called MB tiles. You set them up by just choosing a new map layer. Let's go MB tiles. Okay, drag your file in here. There's a whole documentation and a YouTube video that I created on how to do this. So YouTube, search MB tiles, Fulcrum. But when you're in an app, this is how it loads. So I'm going to go to any app in the map, and then I'm kind of getting to your answer, I hope, but let's see if I can drive this fast. So we're going to go to Moscone and load that layer. And I need to start typing it. Moscone West. Oh, it's already going to get me close. There it is. So what this layer is a custom overlay of a blueprint. And inside of here, it's not editable. It was scanned, as you can see, so it's a poor resolution. But as I click plus, I can drop points on this, and I can do my repeatables on this as well. So if I come in to the repeatables version of that app, I would be able to drop geometry on it, draw lines, etc. So I hope that bridges the gap for your answer.
Awesome. We've got a couple here from Joanne. I think they're both kind of related to ArcGIS Online. I'll read both of them. Can you edit a record for the Fulcrum filtered view directly from ArcGIS Online? And then can you view the 360s when shared to ArcGIS Online?
Ooh, also a great question. With our limited time left, I won't be able to show the whole thing start to finish, but I can tell you that the 360 images, everything that's happening is going to be either a hyperlink to another server for 360 photos or Fulcrum. When you do a pop-up in Esri right now today, we're not showing the photo as a thumbnail, and therefore the 360 photo viewer will not launch as well in Esri. On the Fulcrum side, though, if you're in Esri and you have a dot on the map, if you were to click it, you can launch the Fulcrum form and launch the viewer for that within the Fulcrum form. Conjuring that to show you right now may be a little bit tricky. I can't quite do it fast enough, but we could meet afterward and I'd be glad to show you what I have in mind. It's probably a 10-minute process.
All right, we've got another question. We've got about 7 minutes left. We'll try to get to as many as we can. This one is from, apologies if I messed the name up, Thaisa. I'd like to learn more about interfacing with Esri, specifically how to use Fulcrum data in ArcGIS Online. Could you recommend some study materials?
Ooh, we have some Help Center documents for this. So whenever you go to the Help Center, that's one more resource you should check out. The question mark in the upper right corner, launch help from here. Here we go, Esri. All the things that you probably want to know for connecting to Portal if you have ArcGIS Enterprise, or if you're going to start using like points, lines, and polygons to bring it in. We also have options for a bidirectional sync we could explore. There's a few ways to do this. Here's saved filter integrations with ArcGIS. So check out these help docs, and that's your best training to get boots on the ground with this experience. I will say that it's as easy as connecting to your account when you're in the map view. So click on the little layer cookie. From there, there's a button that says connect to ArcGIS. This will give you access to all of your private layers. So if I connect, I would be signing in and following that process, etc. From there, more layers come in that I can access from my account. That's for private layers that are secure in Esri. Public layers, there's a distinction. If you're pulling in parcels, like I showed a little bit ago in that demo, The parcels can be broadcast from a county freely. Anytime you've got a public data source like that, come to map layers instead. So when you set it up in map layers, new map layer, you're going to choose an ArcGIS feature service. All you have to do is put the URL in there, and that will let you broadcast that county parcels layer to all of your users within Fulcrum. That's a very different way of doing it too.
Got it. We've got another question here from Aaron. Can you please share the presentation so we can reference the links later? Yeah, we'll follow up with you in an email. We're going to send everybody an email with a copy of the presentation on demand video. And Jared, I'm not sure we can talk about sharing the slide deck itself. I don't know if we want to do that, but we can make sure you get those links for sure.
Awesome.
Another from Joanne. Does the photo fast fill work on the 360-degree photo viewer?
I am personally dying to see that work. Now, remember, this is in early access. I've already told our product team it does work, just so they make it happen. But today we are still experimenting with some of this. There's formatting challenges because some 360 cameras will do fisheye lens, and that may not be as conducive for a GPT to recognize. But at the moment, from my personal experiments, I can't reveal more than that. I'm going to say that it's possible, but I can't say until when that we'll actually release that feature.
Cool. Here's one from Josh. I do not see the icons under the developer page under data events example. Could that be added to the website?
Oh, that's a terrific one. So right now, yes, we have our page that's talking about that, and it is not showing the characters. So we'll make an internal note to update that for sure. I'm glad to, if you want to connect with us and forward up the chain back to me, I can send you the code that I had earlier as well on that.
Here's another one from Aaron. Can you export choice lists to view them as CSV on your computer?
So that's also an interesting one. You can, if you're going to end up using the API ever, there's a way to grab the choice list from this, and it becomes a JSON file you can parse out. Right now, we don't currently have an offering that just exports that choice list easily, at least on the front end face of Fulcrum. But I'm glad to send that to our product team if that's something you would do regularly.
Cool. We got another one from Josh. He did say you answered his question earlier, but then he has another one. Before you drew an X, but could you have the X relate to a specific child record?
That's a great question too. The only way to do that goes back to that Moscone blueprints example I just showed a little bit ago. You would have to have that loaded as a base map layer to be able to sketch on top of it with your repeatables. And once you've done that, then those are, those geometries can be carried to any other platform. But the blueprint itself, you would probably need to load into GIS separately to see them on that map again.
Got it. Here's one from Mark. How could we display our plant records for fiber and copper plant overlaid in Fulcrum?
Excellent question. There's a couple of ways to do this, and I'm creating some tutorial documents to talk about it. If you have a KML or a KMZ, you're going to want to bring that into QGIS or Esri, ArcMap, ArcPro. When you do that, you're converting it to a shapefile or a geodatabase, then publishing it to Fulcrum. You can import shapefiles into Fulcrum as records that are editable, or you can bring them in as a map layer through MB tiles or an Esri feature service layer that you're hosting. So that's a few different ways of doing it, and that's starting from a KML. If you already had them as a CAD drawing, same thing. You start with QGIS or Esri. ArcGIS Pro is probably the better one for that.
Cool. And the final question we have here from Aaron, are there any integrations with Onyx app for, i.e. parcel data?
The best answer I can give is if they have an API, yes, we're probably compatible with it. APIs these days connect all platforms, and as long as we can ingest their data through an API, we should be able to bring it in one way or another. I'm not familiar with that platform directly, but it's been pretty true of all other platforms.
Awesome. We got all the questions. That was great. Some great questions, great answers. We teased you guys for next month. Join the webinar next month. A lot of cool new stuff with AI. We're going to be at the Esri User Conference in San Diego, July 14th through 18th. So please, if you're going to be there, hook up with us, come by the booth, see some of this stuff in person. I believe audio fast fill, we can already show that to you today. I think we're going to have like a demo for photo fast fill. I don't want to promise anything, but I think we're going to have that there. We're going to have a bunch of cool stuff. So if you're going to be at Esri, come by. If not, check out the webinar. We'll give you some good info. Download the handout that we have available. There's going to be a brief survey after I shut this thing down. And then other than that, you'll all get an email with a copy of the video on demand. I really appreciate it. Awesome stuff, Jared. Awesome questions, everybody. Thanks, guys, and hopefully we'll see you next month.
Thanks, guys.